When I tell you that this Batman loves bats, he loves bats. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Absolute Batman, number 4. So our story starts off with a young Bruce Wayne in court. And the judge is saying how Mr. Chill wants to give a statement. But before he gets a statement, he's going to allow Bruce Wayne to say something, which he normally wouldn't do it, but because of distinguishing circumstances, he's going to allow this. And with a tear in Bruce's eye, we move on to something else. A rooftop, actually, where this gang, who doesn't want to be referred to as a gang, but it's what they are, is pissed at 3 people who feel like they don't have to pay. And the gang leader is like, you see, we're proud of Park Row, which now people are calling it Crime Alley, but we don't see it as such. You see, we're in charge of the upkeep, and the upkeep costs money that you guys don't want to pay. So tell me, Miss Gwen, why do you feel like you don't have to pay? And she's like, I care plenty about this place. My mom grew up here. I got 3 little girls in school here. But just because I live here doesn't mean I have to pay an extra expense. Like, I pay enough bills. Why should I have to pay you? And the gang leader just looks at her, pushes her off the roof, and turns and is like, anybody else feel like her? But then all of a sudden she comes back up. And they're like, what the hell just happened? And like a scene out of an old Dracula movie, he appears. He jumps down screeching like a bat. He grabs one of them, and with the fangs that are in his mouth, yes, I said fangs, he bites down on a dude and throws him. Dude starts like foaming from his mouth, so he bit him with something. And then he takes his claws that he has on his hands and he cuts the other one, looks like in his throat. I'm like, well, those 2 are probably dead, so that no-kill rule, that seems to be null and void right now. So then Mr. Like to throw women off the rooftop, all of a sudden pulls out a gun. He starts blasting at him. He blocks it with his cape, and he comes over, karate chops the dude in the neck, grabs his gun, and then draws down on him. And then we cut to another flashback to his dad when he was making his invention. I know, it's bounced all over the place. So he's showing it to his dad, and he's like, look, bats are intimidating. So I made the pier super high, reinforced them. See, the gates are all long. And his dad's like, I don't think intimidating is the right thing to do. This is supposed to help people, not scare people. But the young Bruce is like, it'll make people feel safe, protected. It's strong. I tested it, up to about 30 pounds. So his dad's like, great job. I'm proud of you. So then we cut back to Vampire Batman drawing down on this gang member. Finally, his boys show up, so then Batman decides to get the hell out of there. So then we see him in the alley, and he has a suit, and he's like, this is just theatrics. Like the face paint, the voice distorter. Looking at you, Christian Bale. The silicone fangs loaded with a paralytic. I want to know what paralytic makes you foam with the mouth, because that was crazy. And this, as he throws the gun into the fire, he's like, I need to think bigger, be bigger, build bigger. So he thinks to himself, he's like, all these street gangs have illegal guns. How are they getting these guns? So he finds out that 80% of the guns come from Florida. It's called the Orange Blossom Express. You see, they bring up the guns in these produce trucks because the weights don't have to be as accurate. You see, the Maronis and Falcones are the ones in charge of the checkpoints. And they like to shift things around just in case there's a raid, which they know about the raids. Why? Because they got most of the Gotham PD paid off. They say every time one of these guns are fired, it smells like oranges. And the Maronis and Falcones just don't have deals with the cops. Like, they got deals with all kinds of companies all around Gotham and at least 3 banks. They're just too damn big to bring down. But that doesn't mean he can't try. As this truck is driving, all of a sudden there's a RC car and it goes underneath the truck. And we see these 2 dudes in this truck and they're talking amongst themselves. And all of a sudden they see Batman with an RC remote. And they're like, just run him down. And Batman hits this trigger on his RC remote. And this hydraulic comes from the RC car and just lifts the back of the trailer all the way to the roof of the tunnel. Which is crazy. It causes the other truck behind him to have to swerve, and he runs into the wall, and you got gang members falling out of trucks, and all of a sudden Batman's just standing there. Gang members decided they're going to do something, and then we get a normal old school Batman beatdown. paralytic fangs not included. So now we cut back to young Bruce and his dad, and he's like, bats adapt. There are actually more bat species than any other mammal on Earth. Why? Because they use echolocation to map out an area, they learn it, they adjust to succeed. Just like my invention. So then he asked his dad, do you think this is good enough to win? And he was like, I don't know. All that matters is that you feel this is the best you can do. That it shows what's special about a bat at its core. So Bruce is like, I think so, but how do I know what anything is at its core? So then his dad tells him that when he was a young man, he wanted to become a heart surgeon. And Bruce is like, seriously? Why? Then he tells him about Bruce's granddad, how he drove the G39 bus route 6 days a week. And on his off days, he would take him to the amusement mile where they would walk around and get frozen bananas dipped in chocolate. And he loved it. But then one morning, as they were walking, his dad suddenly just dropped to the ground. And when he looked at his dad's face, he knew that he was dead. And he said he will never forget the fear and the terror of being left alone like that. So then Bruce is like, so what killed him? And his dad's like, a massive coronary. Doctor said he was dead before he hit the ground. So I wanted to become a heart surgeon so I could prevent other kids from losing their family members like that. But life happened. Your mom got pregnant with you and we had to adjust. So Bruce is like, is this a guilt trip? And his dad goes, no. I'm just saying I had to go through a period of searching, looking for what I wanted to be beyond a husband and a father. And then I realized that teaching was exactly that. I could make kids feel safe and prepare them for the world out there. So then we cut back to the courtroom and Bruce explains how the whole reason why they were even there was because his invention got first place. He won the trip to the zoo, him and his class. And everybody was having fun. Everybody was happy. They were talking about the animals. And he got a chance to look at his dad. And his dad, even though he didn't like to show it to him, was extremely proud of Bruce. And Bruce realized that it doesn't get any better than this. And then Joe Chill happened. So then he's like, I don't care what you have to say. I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. Do you fucking hear me? So now we see Bruce improving himself, improving his gear, improving the way that he's going to be Batman. So then we do one more flashback to where Bruce is showing his invention to his father, because this is the last modification that he made, and he says it can fly because bats are the only species of mammal that can do that. It's less intimidating, but it still does the job. It's there for aid and defense and even offense. So now we cut to Batman. He's on top of a rooftop and he's looking through a skylight and he's at some kind of gala or ball that's being thrown for all the rich people. He's there for one specific person. His name is Randall Powers, and he's the guy who owns all the trucks that the guns come in on. He's the billionaire that has the deals with the Maronis and the Falcones and the different banks and all the other different companies, and all this is just so shady it is not funny. And they're so big. Again, he says they're so big that they feel like they can't fail. That up here, they can't be touched. They're about to get touched. But then on the last page, we cut to Bruce, and he shows up to the prison to talk to Joe Chill. And he's like, well, you have something to say. Say it.